So we're going to discuss lighting when you're traveling and issues that pertain to that. We assume everybody knows what to do in the home after all the years of practice.
I just listened to my wife.
So, but when we discuss when a person's away from home, we get a better appreciation of what goes on when you light at home also. So first, I'll proceed with a question that was asked to me this year, relevant to somebody, and we'll come back to that. So someone, his wife actually, is traveling, has to go to a convention, and the question is, so he's lighting at home, and the question is, what should his wife do? She's in a hotel alone. There's no yidden around, no yidden downtown. The only person there, and should she light? Question is, should she light? If she could, assuming that she could light there, should she light? How should she light? And so let's back up. The halacha is a person lights in his house. There issue beisai, and the truth is, really, mikra adin, you only need one ner per household. So every night of Hanukkah, you only have to light one candle for everybody that lives in the house.
One candle or one?
One candle. One candle. One candle for everybody in the whole house all together. So if you have a family of 8, and you just light one candle, in the yaitza. That's ner rishu beisai. Mahadrin, the halach of mahadrin. There's mahadrin and a mahadrin. So there's to light. You can light one per night, right? You go up. First night the first candle, second night 2 candles, third night there's 3 candles. We all know this. And then there's to do each person in the house, for a light for each person in the house. I don't want to get into this whole discussion, but for the Rambam holds, for example, you would light. The Rambam holds you would light. If you have 8 people in the house, on the second night of Chanukah, you would get a big lichter that has 16 branches on it. You make one big menorah, 16 candles. Right? Second night of Chanukah, so 2 candles for second night of Chanukah per person. You have 8 people in the house,
all
16 candles, all in one menorah. Matter of fact, I remember I was learning in Israel, and there was one Sephardi there that lit in front of his house. He must have been a Yerushalmi Sephardi. He had maybe 10 kids, I don't know. He had maybe 10 kids, plus it was the 8th night of Hanukkah. There were 80 candles there, you know. In a row, lined up. In like a box. He had a whole box there. And it was like, you know, you ever saw these Yotzei candles lined up in a box? It was lined up. That's how he lit. That's the Rambam. We don't do that because, interesting, if you read a Rambam, you light according to how many people are in the house. Even if you have a newborn baby, an infant, you know, even an infant baby, you count them in because the father's lighting for everybody. The father's lighting, the man in the house, he lights for everybody in the house, no matter how many people there are, head count, no matter how many days they add it all together. We don't do that. We go, nobody really has that minhag today.
So with that minhag, you have no way of knowing what day of the...
Right, you have no way of knowing what day.
Hanukkah is.
That's Tosfos' kasha. That is Tosfos' kasha in essence. Though. We have no. You lose the other mahadrin because you don't really know what the Hanukkah is. Therefore, the Ramah came up with something. The reason why you'll see why I'm explaining this. The Ramah came up with a new idea. There were only 2 options beforehand. One option was the Balabas lights 80 candles, or just light 8 candles and don't light for everybody in the house. It's better to know what day of Hanukkah it is than to light for the amount of people in the house. And that's how many Sephardim do it today. They just light one chanukah per household, according to the amount of nights, and they don't add on per person. And the reason is because if you add on per person, you're not going to know how many nights there are. So this is where in the Rambam, if you look there. So it's either you do 80 candles or you do 8, but that's it.
Beis Yosef is one menorah? One
menorah, 8 candles, and that's the end of the story. On the 8th night. 2 candles on the second night, 1 candle on the first night. But that's Beis Yosef. The Ramah comes along and says, no, everybody should light, and they should light in a different place a little bit, you know. Move a little over this way, you move that way, you light by this window, you light by that window, and separate it, and this way you will know what day of Hanukkah it is. It's a separate menorah. You light these over here and these over here. But what comes out is a tremendous chiddush in the Ramah, which is not necessarily based on the Rishonim, which is how we do it today. Whole Klal Yisrael does it today by the Ashkenazim. Is that each person is lighting his own ner. In other words, I'm lighting my chanukah, and my son is lighting his menorah, right? And so there comes out the mitzvah of the Mahadrin is not that I'm lighting the way it seemed it would be in the Gemara and the Rishonim, where I light. The question is just how many candles do I light? So I light for every person in the family. But no, we don't do it like that. I light, and he lights. Let me explain to you what the great revelation here is. Because when I light, I make a bracha. Last night I made 3 brachas. My son gets up to light, he's making 3 brachas again. Why is he making 3 brachas again? It's a Mahadran, he was already Yotze. All you need is 1 candle per household, right? So I made a bracha, and I lit. Everybody was Yotze, everybody go to sleep. They had it. Not as though it in Mahadran, you want to have more. So he lights again. So it's a big chiddush. But that's how Gans Klal Yisrael does. Each person lights his own menorah, and this is part of a Mahadran, the chiddush of Mahadran, that you don't have to conform and be part of one household. Each guy can light his own menorah.
Is the chiddush that they can light, say the brachas? That seems to be the chiddush.
Yeah, chiddush is I can say the brachas, but the din of Mahadran is according to him that each person is lighting on his own. Each person, you're breaking off. I'm lighting and my son's breaking off. He's lighting his own. But what happens is like this. Once we look at it like that, so any child that is not Hagil Chinuch, in other words, according to the Rambam, if there are 8 people in the household, from age 0 to 90, whatever, women, men, doesn't matter, you light a candle for everybody. So I'll light for everybody in the house. But according to the way we do it, it's not like that. I'm lighting for myself. Now, my son wants to light for himself, he can light for himself. But my little son that's 3 years old, there's no reason for him to light. He's not a Gil Chinuch.
Right.
His lighting won't even do anything. It's not even counted as a lighting. It's like a monkey came and lit. It's like a kuf came. It doesn't have any halachic ramifications. He's not old enough to be able to participate in a mitzvah.
You're not covering him when you light?
What?
You're not covering him when you
I
light?
am covering him, but I'm not making a special light for him. In other words, according to the Rambam, I'd be making a light for everybody in the house. It would include the young child, and it would include the woman also. But now, according to our minhag, it comes out that each person's lighting on his own, but that only is going to include. In other words, if I walk by a house and I see 4 menorahs lit, I know there are 4 people that are old enough to be chayav mitzvahs that are lighting, but I don't know how many people are in the house. Could be a lot more.
So is there actually a separate menorah that's lit for a 3-year-old then?
No, they don't need it. There's no reason to have
it.
No reason. Now, besides that, and the woman also, woman is a question, there's really no reason a woman shouldn't light, but Ishte Kagufay, so the wife for sure doesn't light. The wife doesn't light, else Ishte Kagufay, the Beis Yosef says. The wife doesn't light, Ishte Kagufay, she's part of him. So, according to the way we would do it for the Rambam, you would light according to how many heads there are in the house. That would include the wife. She's also a head. She may be a bigger head than you are, but she's a head. So you would light for that also. But the way we do it, we just light according to whoever's chayiv mitzvah lights. So I light, and whoever has a mitzvah lights, and Ishta's kagufay. So she doesn't light. The older girls in the house, the minhag became by most people that they don't light. They could light. There's no reason they shouldn't. They're mechuyev to light, but they're yotze with me. Like every other mitzvah, the yotze with me. So that's how our minhag came about. It's important to understand the concept. I'm bringing this out for a reason. You'll see that when we light separately, it's really like a break-off. My son is lighting, he's breaking off from my mitzvah. That's how Rabbi Kiva looks at it, and he's like having a mind not to be yotze with my bracha, and he's making his own bracha. But technically, the hikar chiyuv is one ner for the entire household.
He's starting his own minyan.
Starting his own minyan.
So when you mentioned right at the beginning about all you need is 1 ner, so that would be assumedly for the first night, right? Night 2, it wouldn't just be 1 ner.
It would be 2 candles for me. But then what about my son? So he wants to light 2. He wants to break off on light 2.
But the minimum in the second night, you could light just 1 candle if you're not.
Yeah.
What's the difference between Hanukkah and Kiddush?
Right.
Because Chanukah, Kiddush is each person has to be Yotze Kiddush, personally. So whether he hears it from me or does it himself is irrelevant. Chanukah, the takana was there should be 1 candle per household. Then there's a mahadrin that if you want, you could add on more. But you're not mechuyev to. You could have one candle.
So Kiddush is not mehadrin when the second person, like when the 15-year-old like, makes his own Kiddush.
Okay, I'll show you the nafkamina. For example, let's say we have someone traveling, okay? So someone is, let's say my son is not going to be home that night, he's traveling, or he'll be back late in the middle of the night. So technically, ner ishu beisai, I lit my candle in the house. Everybody was yotze. You would think there's really no reason for him to come and have to light later when he comes home. Because we're yotze. We're yotze, there's one ner for the house, even if he wasn't there. Kiddush got to be there, he has to be yotze. But here, he doesn't have to be there. He could be yotze. Now we have a problem, he never heard the bracha, so we're going to get back to that. But the question is, but technically, once the household is lit, everybody is yotze. I was speaking to from the Sephardi Kor, what's his name, Rabbi Lebhar, yeah. So he was telling me by the Sephardim, that's how they're noig. They're noig that even if someone's traveling, so if someone travels away, as long as there's a person in the house that lights, the Bacham go to yeshiva. He says, Rabbi Yosef says, that the Bacham don't want off the light at all. They don't have to light. You have a ner in the house that's lit, and that's it. Gandikt, patik, kaput. Yotze, especially they only light one ner anyways, right? So you light one ner for the house, and whoever goes away doesn't have to light, because the ikar alocha is ner ishu beisai. So just to reference, there's a machloikis here. There's a very big machloikis. So if it's brought down Tofei Shain Zayin. If so, normally the let's say the man of the house, he lights. The father, he lights. Let's say he's on a business trip. So if he's in limbo, he's nowhere. He's on a plane. He's not anywhere. So his wife can light for him at home. Let's say someone's traveling to Eretz Yisrael. He's traveling to Eretz Yisrael and he's leaving before it gets dark, and before even Plaga Mincha, before a time when he could light. He's leaving as a 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and he's not getting there until the next morning. So now he's not going to be anywhere where he can light. So what does he do? He misses the day of lighting. What does he do? So if his wife is still home, so Ishtar Madlekas Allah Bebeisa, his wife lights for him at home, and you have a ner for the house. And he's yotze for the ner for the house. Now he didn't hear the brachas. He never heard the brachas, and it's problematic. We want to hear the brachas. We want to have the shachiyadu. We want to have the shas anisim. But the mitzvah of hadlaka, he was yotze from the fact that his wife lit for him at home. If there's nobody at home, everybody's traveling, now you have a bigger issue, because nobody can light for him at home, right? Nobody can light for him at home. So if there's nobody at home, but there's nobody, but they're all on the plane, and there's no option for them to light, so they should make a shliach. They should light for them in the house. Shliach should light for them in their house, because that's the ikar place they live. Just because they're traveling, the ikar living place is at home, so they should make a shliach to light for them in the house. Now the shliach can't make a bracha, it's not so simple. So the shliach would have to make a bracha on his own menorah at home, and then, without eating latkes in between, without talking, he'll go to his friend's house and light his friend's menorah, which should be set up. And then you have a ner, you have a ner from the house. A person should have a ner, but you could light in your house. You could be lighting. That works for you, even if you're not there. That works. Well, the question is like this: let's say a person is traveling, and he lands. He goes to another place. He's already in another place. So his wife is at home. His wife is lighting for him at home, lighting for the family. Someone's lighting at home, and he is in another area. With the Yidden around, he's in a place where he could light. So should he light on his own? He's going to be there for 2 days. Should he light on his own, or is he yotze with his wife at home?
Should buy.
What?
Should buy some of the oil.
So
this is the halacha of achsenoi. The halacha of achsenoi. So the halacha says like this: achsenoi is he's a visitor. She'ein madlikin l'lav bebeisai. Achsenoi, that someone's not lighting for him at home. There's nobody at home lighting for him. Then he could give money to the person he's staying by and join into their menorah. We go l'chatchila, he should light his own menorah. He should light his own, because we have issues with brachas and things. It's always l'chatchila, he should light his own. If he can't, Sometimes there are single girls that are traveling. They're not used to lighting the menorah, so they can pay $1 or buy some of the chip into the household they're staying by. But l'chatchila, a person should light, he's traveling, he should light his own menorah wherever he's staying. But that's the Machaber is talking about when she'ein, right? Achsanoi she'ein madlikin alav bebeisay tzarich los putzul ba'al bayis l'shtatim Hashem ne'chanuka. But let's say they're lighting for him at the house. So here we have a big machlokes based on the Trumas Hadeshin says that it's no different than Manhadrin. It's no different than a Mahadrin, that someone who's, like we said, my son could break off and light himself. So too this person that's traveling, even though his wife is lighting for him at home, he could break off on his wife. His wife will light at home for herself, and I'll light myself where I'm staying. So I could break off on my wife. That's what Trumas Hadeshin holds. And there's no difference in Mahadrin, our Mahadrin, where each person breaks off and lights his own thing. And therefore, if I'm traveling on a business, my wife is home, my wife can light for the home, and I'll light myself, and I'll break off, and I can make a bracha. I'll light my own candle. That's what Trumas Hadeshin holds. The Beis Yosef says, no, Ishtei kagufay. You can't break off from your wife. Not so easy. Everybody else you can break off from, but Ishtei kagufay. So if your wife is lighting for you at home, you can't light where you're going.
Well, you better if it's sunlit.
If
Would it be okay if it's sunlit then? If it's sunlit at home, then the wife's in trouble because she's not covered?
The wife's not covered, yeah. If someone's lighting in the house, yeah, it could be better if the sunlit. Could be better. The best thing to do is to light before your wife lights. If you light, you coordinate with her, and you light before she lights, so then she's not yotze with you because you're not home. So you can light first, and then she can light, and you can make a bracha.
But then you run into daytime.
Yeah, you get into daytime issues also. You got the, yeah.
So, just to clarify, Rabbi, if you're traveling with your family, and your whole family is going to be on the road, and you are able to light, for example, in your hotel that you're going to.
You could light.
You could light. Is that preferable?
Yeah.
Or is it preferable to appoint a shaliach?
No, if you could light where you're staying, you should light where you're staying.
And you don't have to appoint a shaliach to light.
Yeah, but if you can't light where you're staying, you're over the Atlantic Ocean, and they don't let lights in the airplane, so then you should have a shliach light at home. Because a shliach can't make a bracha for you over there. It's a question when a shliach can make a bracha at all, but especially in such a situation when nobody's home. But if you're on the way and you could stop somewhere and where you're eating or sleeping, so then it's preferable you light there yourself.
Let me ask the question this way. The bracha shehecheyanu. That is in a situation, this is actually happening right now, in a situation where you were with a group, somebody's lighting for the group, and then the next day you'd be on your own back home. Is the shehecheyanu going on the event or on the person?
What you're asking is an excellent question. We're going to get to that. I'm going to come to this. This is a very pivotal question, and a lot of halachas of the hadlakas ner is what is the bracha on? Is it on lighting the candles, the shehecheyanu, the shasanisim, or is it on my personal chiyuv to have a bracha because of the nest that happened, or because of shehecheyanu? Like every Yom Tov you make a shehecheyanu without lighting candles. So this is a good question. We're going to get to in a minute. I just don't want to confuse the issue. So basically, what we're saying is like this. So if you're away from home, so we have a machlokes. If your wife is lighting for you at home, and if you can light yourself, Beis Yosef says no, don't light yourself, and the Ishtei kagufay and Trumas Hadeshin says no, you could become a mahadir, you could break off and light your own menorah where you're staying. Meikar didn't we pass on Ashkenazim, pass on like the Trumas Hadeshin, where you could break off and light where you're staying. I'm uncertain if there's any difference if the wife is traveling, like this case we discussed earlier. The husband's at home and the wife is traveling. If the Trumas Hadeshin would say that the wife should break off and light on her own, well, they're for sure Ishtei kagufay, and she's yotze with him.
And this is regardless of who lights first.
But Trumas Hadeshin knows regardless who lights first. If you want to be yotze to the Beis Yosef, so then you light first. You get all the days. Okay, so that's clear. So that's how we do it. Now, if but he's bringing down with the brachas, with making the brachas. You see, if I'm traveling and I can't light where I am, I'm on the plane, and my wife is lighting for me at home. Okay, so my wife lit for me at home, and the first night of Chanukah, and she made a shehecheyanu. Now I land, and I'm on the second day of Chanukah. The second day of Chanukah, could I make a Shechianu now? I never heard any brachas. So, could I make a Shechianu now the second night? Or do we say I was Yoitza with my wife's brach at home? Now, the crux of the question is, are these brachas a separate bracha which has nothing to do with the ner? It's just for the day? Or the brachas are specifically on the candle, and since I was Yoitza the first day's candle with the bracha, see if I lit the first day myself at home and I forgot to make a Shechianu. I forgot to make a Shechianu, which happens. And then the second day I could still make a Shechianu, because I never made a Shechianu even on the first candle, so I can make it on the second. But if the bracha Shechianu was made on the first candle, and the first candle was lit with all the brachas and everything, I just wasn't there to participate. Then I come home, and the second night I'm lighting. This is a very big shaila, how to understand.
In principle, you should be able to say it after you said Al Nisim and Mariv. You're in Hanukkah.
Yeah, but we don't, because that's what we're saying. We're saying the Shechianu was made for the candle. The Mishabru has a shaila. If a person forgot the Shechianu the first night, he should wait till the second night to say the Shechianu he likes. If he forgets the second night of the Shechianu, he can make it on the third night. Up till the 8th night of Hanukkah, if he forgot to say the Shechianu all 7 days, so the 8th night of Hanukkah is lighting the candle, he can make a Shechianu. If he forgot the last time he lit the candle to make the Shechianu, so the Mishabru has a suffix whether he could just get up and say a Shechianu, because maybe the Meiri holds that the bracha is just on the Hanukkah, it's not on the candles. But l'chatchila we do it only on the candles. So this question goes back. For example, if I am traveling by car, I don't have any place to stop. My wife's waiting for me at home, but I pass by. I see there's a menorah out there. I see a menorah with a light. So I we can't make a bracha. I'm saying because it's not lit by a house. But if I see a menorah lit by someone's window, I say a menorah lit by someone's window, and I pass it by. There's a halacha called a birchas haroya. When I see a ner Chanukah, I can make the bracha shas and nisim, and even the first night I can make a shechianu. Chazal masakin a bracha for someone that can't light himself, that if he sees a ner, he can make a bracha. But we hold, it's a big machlekes, we hold if your wife lit for you at home, you can't make that bracha anymore when you see the candle. Because you are yotzei. I'm trying to drive this point in. When someone lights for you at home, you are yotzei with the brachas and everything. That's how we
I don't understand why you say such a big shaila. If Ishtar Kigufa,
so we yotzei.
So what do you mean? Should he make a shechianu now? She made it for him already. It was yotzei.
Right. That's how we pass it. But the other Rishonim hold not like that. Other Rishonim hold that even if your wife lit for you at home, if you didn't hear the brachas and you see the ner Chanukah, you can make a bracha. It's a big machlokes. But halacha l'maisa, we always tend to the side of the Safek brachas l'kula. So therefore, we always go that if your wife lit for your home, you are yotzei. You don't make a bracha when you see it, when you can't even light. The only way you can light is if you're going to break off and light on your own. So if you have in mind that you're going to make your own ner Chanukah, then you can break off and light your own candle, because the halacha of Mahadran, that each person can light on his own. So we hold you can break off and light when you're going. So that's just a little, what should I call it, an introduction to understanding the halachas when you're traveling and lighting. Now, a little practical.
To you actually doing it yourself.
Right, that's the Mahadran.
There's no Mahadran just making a bracha on when you see someone else does.
No.
That's the act of lighting.
The act of lighting. Right. If I see it, that's a birchas haraya, or the only person that can make a birchas haraya is someone that has no ability to be yotzei himself. He has no wife at home. He has no home. He's not being yotzei anyway. So then, if he sees it, at least he can have some connection to the mitzvah. By seeing it, he can make a bracha. But someone who is in any which way yotzei the mitzvah, he doesn't make a birchas haraya. If he wants to break off, like you're saying, and do his mahadran, he can break off, light his own candle, and do a mahadran. So, common shilas that come up. If a person is in a hotel, so for the night. So I know they have a rule that you can't light. You're probably not allowed to light something in the hotel. I can't tell you what to do, but if you're like in a convention where you're using the dining room, everybody together or something like that. So then it's possible you can light in the dining room. they'll probably let it like Shabbos. That's what you do. You know, you go Shabbos, you have a convention, so they let you light the candles in the dining room. So b'makom achil you could light if it's set up like that. But if it's not set up like that, you don't have your own place. Your group doesn't have a place to eat.
Each individual
in the
lighting in the dining room, or
yeah,
is
if
one
it's
menorah
set up
lit
like
for
that,
the-
if it's set up like that, no, each individual should light. If it's set up like that, that this is where everybody's eating the Shabbos meals or whatever it is. But if it's not set up like that, so then it's very difficult. The only place really you can light is in your room, and you can't make a bracha unless you're going to let it light for a half hour. If you're not going to let the candles light for a half hour, you cannot make a bracha on it. If you light the candles, you don't have to light, again, you don't have to light 8 candles at night. All you have to light is 1 candle to be Yotze the mitzvah. So you can light 1 candle, allow it to go for a half hour, and then put it out.
But you can't put it out if you're at home and you have to leave. Are you okay putting
If
out
you
the-
lit it, and it had the ability to stay half hour, and it was supposed to stay half hour, and something came up, and you had to put it out early, you're Yotze, because at the time you lit it was supposed to go half hour. But a person should never put out his
okay.
a person should never put out his Chanukah licht before a half hour. You should never put it out. You shouldn't. You should, whatever oinus it is, you should wait till the half hour.
But after half hour for sure you're okay.
Then you can put it out. Yeah.
What about in a situation where you're lighting in the shul? Is that the same?
That's not the same. That's not the same. Yeah, I don't want to go into that's not the same. Yeah, like for Marav last night, they put it out before half hour. But when you're lighting in your house after the Zman, you're lighting when it's dark already. It could go a half hour. You have to allow it to go a half hour. I'm pointing this out because many of the half-hour Hanukkah candles they sell are only a half hour on the first night of Hanukkah when you're lighting 1 candle. But when you light 8 candles together, they burn down so fast that you really get a half hour out of them. If it's not lit a half hour, because they're close, the heat's close together. I know what my kids, I know, see going right down. So lighting separate apart. If you light 1 candle, you don't have to do mahadran. You can't. You don't want the fire alarm to go off. So 1 candle, half hour, whatever. You have to let it go a half hour. If a person's, let's say, in a hospital or something, a person shouldn't be in the hospital, but if a person's in the hospital, so you can't light any candles there. So if Shlomo Zalman holds, there's a Shiloh. If Shlomo Zalman holds that a battery light, a battery with a light bulb, the old-fashioned light bulbs that have filaments in it that light up, that glow, that has a din of a ner. But if Shlomo Zalman says it's relevant for soldiers that are in the traveling. So that Shlomo Zalman holds that you could light with that, with a bracha. Shlomo Zalman holds it.
Not an LED.
Has to be incandescent.
Not an LED.
Not an LED. A light bulb and a battery, not a plug-in. He holds you can make a bracha on, and you can light with that b'diavad. Others hold not like that.
They're
Others
not all
hold
the same.
Flashlight also. Flashlight, if it's not LED, a flashlight. You don't even have. It doesn't have to be a Hanukkah menorah. You could have a flashlight which has batteries in it, and a bulb in it. You make a bracha and you turn it on.
What is the purpose of the battery?
Now, Shlomo Zalman holds he could do that. It is a b'diavad. Very big b'diavad. It can be Simchan to do that. Others hold that Shlomo is telling me that it's not considered a ner at all because it's not a wick. It's not a wick with the oil that lights. It's just a gachelas. It's more calls it a gachela shel matchis. If you have metal glowing, that's a gachela shel matchis, which is not considered a ner. So for Shabbos candles, it is enough. For Shabbos candles, it's just Hashem and bias. But for Chanukah candles, it's not so simple. So, but if a person's in such a situation, so in a hospital where he's there for quite a while, so it can be simcha that if he doesn't have someone lighting from at home, if he's there for one night, he has someone lighting from at home. But if he's there for a while, it's that. But if someone's traveling on a plane, he has no home. He's not there. He's just in limbo. He's just traveling. So there's no way to really to make a bracha. So you should have someone lighting for him at home. Just to get a little mili d'agata to him. So there's a mili d'agata also, the traveling oil. So I just want to back up a little bit. Where this oil came from.
Yeah.
Where this oil come from? The Pach Shemen. They looked around and all the Timu Kol Hashmanim, the Yevonim went and they made all the oil tummy. It says like this: that Yaakov Avinu, Pashas Vayetze, so he was traveling to the house of Lavan. He left Yaakov in Beersheva, Yivayel Charana, and he comes there, and en route he stops by the Makom of Beis HaMikdash. He stops by the Makom of the Beis HaMikdash, and he makes a promise. The whole promise he makes that if Hashem takes the will and go, comes back for Shalom, so he's going to make. What's he going to do? Hashem lila lekim v'evan azos, and this rock that he slept on turned to one rock. This rock, famous rock, asher samti matzeva yir beis lekim. So it says, the Medrash says that he, the pasuk says later when he came back, vayotzach oler nesach. But it says over here also, it says that, it says over here, vayikach asar even asher shomer ashoysav, vayosem asar matzev, he made a matzev, vayitzak shemen al rosha, he poured oil on the rock, poured oil on this rock. Nice, he poured oil on the rock. He set it aside to be a mizbeach, he poured oil on the rock. Where did he get the oil from? We all know that Yaakov traveled and Eliphaz came and was going to kill him, and Yaakov has alarmed him. He was learning for 14 years of Shem behavior. He said, listen, Ani is chashav kameis. You can be yotzi, you keep it over aim for your father, you don't have to kill me, you can take all my belongings, right? And then he's considered Ani is chashav kameis. So he took all his belongings, the only thing he was left with was a stick, his walking stick. He crossed the Yarden with his walking stick. Where did he get the oil? In the middle of nowhere. There's no town here. This was in the Hara Maria. He was traveling. Where did he get the oil to put on this matzeva? So the Medrash says that he had a very interesting walking stick. He had a walking stick that was hollow, and inside the walking stick was oil. Why do you have oil in his walking stick? How many people walk around with oil in the walking stick? You forget it, we're living in the 21st century, but in those days, in order to stay up at night and learn, you had to have oil. You had to stay up at night and learn. Yaakov learned for 14 years without sleeping. He had to have oil to light. Yeah, it was his flashlight, right? So he had his walking stick. He filled it with oil, and that was the oil that he had to light to learn at night. This is the first night he slept. So he took from that. Yeah, it was a Medrash. And he took from that oil and he poured it on the rock. Very nice. It says in there's a sefer Bircha Shmuel that brings from the Rav Shach, who's a Talmidei or a Rizal. He brings down that this oil from Yaakov's oil was what was left. I found. Of course, you have to know what these things mean. Talking about traveling oil. I'm trying to get the history of this oil. This oil is the oil that was found in the Beis HaMikdash that was that they used. They used to light the menorah by the Chashmonaim. Obviously, it has to have some relevance. But I want to show you something else also. What about this rock? Where did this rock end up? What happened to this rock? So Yaakov poured the oil on the rock, and so Yaakov poured the oil on the rock, and what happened to this rock in the end of the day? So there's a Rabbi Bechaya brings down over here on the Parsha Vayetze. Rabbi Bechaya brings down. Hold on a second. You got it here? Vayosem Oisem Atzeva. V'amul b'medrash. K'shechazu Yaakov alakas avonim. He found it one stone. He put the Shem on his head. Ma'os HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Not till regel yeminai. Figuratively speaking, he took his right foot. He took this rock and he stuffed it into the ground, to the depths. I don't know if you all heard of the Evan Shasiya. This was called the Evan Shasiya. Some might say Tibur Haaretz. Just stuffed up in the depths of the ground. Misham Nifzach Haaretz. But on that Heichel Hashem Oimid. Shalem of Evan Azak, something like say a year Beis HaLekim. That's what the pasuk means. It will be Beis HaLekim means the Beis HaMikdash was built on this rock. The rock that Yaakov took with his oil. He was Moshechet. Why was he Moshechet? Because he was like he anoints something, right? Like he anoint the kings with the Shem and HaMishcha. He made this rock. This rock ended up in the bottom there as a source of the Beis HaMikdash. I'm not finished yet. We have a Vua which we're going to say this Shabbos. from Zechariah. It's a very fascinating nevuah, which one could study. I don't have the time to explain the whole thing here, but there's a rock over here, another rock. There's another rock here.
Yeah, I was lost with the stick already.
It's in Perek Gimel in Zechariah and Pasuk Tes. We can later see. So it says, this is really partial to the Pasuk. It's talking about the cornerstone of the second base of Mikdash that they built. They built the cornerstone, so Yeshua, Kohen Gadol, had the honor of lying the cornerstone. So Yeshua took it and made 7 eyes on it. Made 7 eyes on this rock. 7 eyes are for the seven Kachvaleches, the 7 Knei HaMenorah. These obviously are things which have a lot of significance. The 7 ways Hashem runs the world. They put it on this rock, which is going to be the cornerstone of the Beis HaMikdash.
But he drew 7 eyes on the rock?
He's mafateach, but he carved it out. Fine. So this is the rock. What happened to this rock? We pull it as a cornerstone. So later it says, Mi hata hara godel ufnei Zerubbabel lemishar v'hoitzias even arosha tshuas chem chem lo. This rock was buried in there, in the Beis HaMikdash. And the Medrash says to Yaakov Shemaidi that before the Yaakov Shemaidi, so this, if not to read the Psukim, but the Malvim explains, and the other Mefarshim explained that this rock is the cornerstone. It wasn't just the cornerstone for the second Beis HaMikdash. It was actually the cornerstone for the third Beis HaMikdash. The second Beis HaMikdash was the beginning of the third Beis HaMikdash. It was a temporary mice, but the cornerstone of the second Beis HaMikdash, which is this rock, was a cornerstone for the third Beis HaMikdash, and they'll have to. This rock was buried somewhere in the Har HaMoriah, and they're going to get it out from the third Beis HaMikdash. That's what it means. It's referring to Mashiach comes, they'll get it out. With my ruach, Mashiach will come. I'll get out this third rock. So the Yalkut Shimoni says this rock is the very same rock that Yaakov Avinu anointed Eben Harosha. It's this same original rock from Yaakov Avinu. Okay,
so it's
a little drush over here, but we have to understand.
From the first Beis HaMikdash. His rock is from the first Beis HaMikdash.
It's a cornerstone of the second Beis HaMikdash.
But
it was the Eben Ashtiya. Yeah.
But the Eben Ashtiya for the first one is still in the same place as like what that was?
I don't know.
No, I'm saying.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying what it says here. I don't know. So, what's the point I want to take? First, I want to take a little mussar out first. It's always good to hear a little mussar to take out first. Yaakov, what did Yaakov Avinu? He learned 14 years and he used this oil to stay up at night, and then he took it and he used it as mashicha for the stone, and this stone was the Eben Ashtiya, and was the cornerstone for the second Beis HaMikdash, for the third Beis HaMikdash. Sometimes I heard a little a mashal, they had a test for kids, to climb how many stairs in the building they could climb. So to get to the top of, the CN Tower, you got to get to the top. So the place is 80 floors, and they have to climb to the top. So the kids get off, after 5 floors, the kids say, look, maybe they'll get up to the 20th floor if they're lucky. Past there, they're not going to get. We might as well stop now. But there was one kid that said he's going to keep on going, and he got up to the top. So they asked him, how'd you do it? What made you go on? He said, I'll tell you the truth. I knew that I wasn't going to get to the top. But I said, let me do as much as I could do. So he went, and he did, and he did, and he did. Believe it or not, he got to the 20th floor, there was an elevator, and he took the elevator to the So, what's the nimshal? The nimshal is that Yaakov Avinu, the koyach that Yaakov Avinu put in, Yaakov Avinu set something up here, pure. The oil set up, and he put it on the rock. He did his job. He made his deal with Rebbeinu Shalom, he did his job. Rebbeinu Shalom took this rock, there's the elevator, stuck it in, and this rock ended up being the corner for the first Beis HaMikdash, second Beis HaMikdash, third Beis HaMikdash. When we do something, sometimes we do an action, and we think, okay, how much is it going to do anyways? We don't know how much it's going to do. It's not our business to know how much it's going to do. We got to do something. When the Chashmonaim stood up to fight the Milchama, when they stood up, they didn't know if they were going to win or lose. They were Rabim B'yad Ma'atim. They just knew they had to do what they had to do. They did whatever they're going to do. How it will work out in the end, that's for the elevator. That's what Rebbeinu Shalom will take care of. He'll take care of it to the end, but we have to put in. So there's a little mussar we can take out. Al pi derech drush, I'll end with this, I know people have to go. Al pi derech drush, you have to understand that there's, what's a rock? What's a shaman, what's a rock? A rock, Roya Evan Yisrael, it says in Parshas Vayechi, that Evan is Av Ben. A rock is something which does not get affected. You could bang it. Some things are like silly putty. You know, silly putty means it moves to any form you want to make it. It becomes into. A rock is rock solid. It's not going to change. If a person is mashpia, Yaakov was Shomrei Evan Yisrael. He was mashpia. Yaakov Avinu is compared to a rock because Yaakov Avinu, through everything he went through, all the trials he went through, he didn't change, even to the point when the 22 years, the Scheiner wasn't shy on him because he was so sad about Yosef, but his avodas Hashem didn't change the slightest. So a person could be like a rock, that he goes through situations, but you don't become spoiled. You don't change. That's Even. Rashi says Av Ben. Then you can pass on the Messiah, father to the son, father to the son. You have to be something that's solid, that's rock solid. Imagine, I'll just give you a concept, a piece of history. Imagine if this table was 1,000 years old. We would sit around and say, wow. In awe we would sit around. This precedes me, my grandparents, it was in the times before the revolution. It was the times before, when you have a relic of the past and it's sitting here today unchanged, it's something which talks to our emotions. We have a relic of the past that's unchanged, and that's the Torah. For Even Azois, was stuck in this same rock, way back from Yaakov Avinu's time. It's still there. It's going to be the cornerstone of the next base of Mikdash. That means that our rocks, rock solid, where we come from, we come from our rocks. We say we come from Rambam Mordechai, whoever was there, right? We come from people know where they rock, Lashon Pasuk, it says, you come from for your rock. It's referring to Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov. We are ships of the old block, We're coming from something solid. Our Messiah that we have is so precious. That's like a rock. So the Shemen refers to the Torah that Yaakov learned. The Shemen refers to the Shemen Zayis, refers to the Shemen, always refers to the Chochmah, to the Torah that's passed down through generation to generation. And a rock, the Shemen, you put the Shemen on the rock refers to the people that are unchanged. We don't change. We stay the same. We have the same hashkafas. We have the same Torah. We have the same people. We keep the same mitzvahs. We are unchanged through all the generations. We are, with the Messiah, the Even Hapina. We are the cornerstone for the Mitzvah Shem, the third base of Mikdash. That's the concept of a rock. If you notice, just to give you this concept, you see when they went into Eretz Yisrael, right? What they write the Torah on? They wrote it on rocks. They didn't write it on a cloth like we have. A cloth is soft to show that we could change and bend and absorb the Torah. But the rock, you write on a rock. It's very hard to write on a rock. I mean, you have to engrave. But we wrote on a rock because that's something which is unchangeable. And this shows that our position towards the Torah has to be unchangeable. We are rocks, and it's not going to change, and it never has changed, and never will change until we'll be zeicha to be part of the cornerstone of the third base of Mikdash.
Amen.